Like it's 7 o'clock right on the dot. Welcome to our Town of Pitkin regular meeting tonight, June 15th, 2026. The Board of Trustee and the Board of Health meeting tonight. So let's start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for today, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and just for the record, at the table up front tonight, we have Lori Nasso, Carol Garrettson, myself, and Stacy taking minutes. We have a number of people online on the Zoom call and a number of people in the room. It's summertime. So a lot of people are back in town. So it's good to see all of you. Welcome back to Pitkin Paradise. So we've got a fairly lengthy agenda tonight. So we're going to jump right in and get started. Try to move through it as quickly and prudently as possible. So start off for Board of Trustee discussion, possible action. Item number 1, minutes from the May 18th, 2026 regular meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I have very few things, and the first one is just a typo, Stacy. At the bottom of the first page, where it says, Mayor Pitkin also asked the town attorney about the ethical issue here, and she advises that it.
Thank you, Vera.
That's just a typo. And then you just, what is this, third page? To the third paragraph down. And then the third line up from the bottom, trustee Corey Nasso and trustee Hillary Graham agreed.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure.
I think that might be wrong.
Was that? And then we asked the town.
I will have to check the video just to be sure.
Oh, was the I was thinking that the playground equipment, this is on the last page. I was thinking the playground equipment's changed on the Gunnison School. Is that not right? Did it come from Crested Butte? I don't know.
That's what I remember.
Here, Chris just walked in. Where did you go to get the playground equipment?
Is that Crested Butte?
Oh,
Okay.
my mistake.
Okay,
So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know that now. Also, Gerald was very in depth on some of those that I've missed. So I was fine with the rest of it. So I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
This is Jara. I'll second it.
Sorry, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Oh, you just entertained it. And you can.
No, I just said I would entertain, yeah. And you jumped right in. All right. June 2026 disbursements and financials.
Are we gonna vote on this thing?
Oh, I guess we probably ought to vote on it. I told you I was gonna try to move through it quickly. So all in favor of accepting the amended minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I got so many people keeping me in check. Which is good. All right, financials and disbursements. I'll start. So our budget versus actuals.
I was just noticing that
Yes.
as I was sitting here looking at it.
Am I formatting or that was everybody's?
It looks like, I'm just gonna make a presumption here.
Okay.
It's January, December 2026 numbers, but it's in the 2025 P and L, so we don't have any budget for percent enrollment.
That is correct.
So
I was trying to kind of change the formatting so it would give us what we want initially without me having to go back in and ask it for an expanded version. And I'm guessing from looking at this that I went into my 2025 saved file, so it's not going to have our 26 budget. So apologies. That was user error.
if you could send that out to us.
Sure. The actual numbers are correct on here. There's no budget to compare it, so that kind of negates, but so I will send that promptly.
And then a couple of other questions, and it's probably more for clarification. And that is our CTF funds. Under CTF funds, we were informed. I'm sorry, CTF, HETF funds, the highway user tax
Yes.
funds. Should be released for the town by the end of the month.
They have been. We just got a big giant check in the mail.
That's good.
Yes.
And CTF funds, we've had some inquiries on that. I know Stacy and I received some emails saying that the CTF fund was going to be withheld in them, sent an email, wanting to know why and what needed to be done. And we've not received a response on that. So that one, I don't want that. That's all I had on the financials. I hope we hear an answer back shortly on CTF funds, but is the state.
I don't have much really to add. Yeah, sorry, I should have sent you something, Stacy. I wasn't sure if that was just formatting or what it was, so.
That was my fault. I wasn't paying close enough attention.
I didn't see it till I opened it this morning and I knew you were tied up.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I assume everybody on here.
Well, I know Hillary could because she responded. Everybody online can hear? Thumbs up.
Yes.
Hillary said yes.
Yes, audio's great. Yep.
Okay, good. All right. Any questions on dispersion?
I didn't have any.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the June 2026 disbursements as presented.
I'll second that motion.
So we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. All right, moving to item C, appointment of 2 open board of trustee positions. To just give a summary to the crowd, since there's more people here than usual. My dates are correct. Back in the April meeting, the board passed a resolution to cancel the election, which left 2 open boards, trustee positions. So then the resolution also stated that we would post those 2 positions as being open. And that posting would be open until June 4th. And as of June 4th, we had 2 individuals that did put their names in the self-nominations to the position. We have Galen Pipes and Jake Schellenberg. Looks like Galen is here, Jake is not. So the first order is the town clerk has to verify the 12 months of previous residency in the town, as well as a registered voter for our situation for Gunnison County and the town of Pitkin. So Stacy, have you been able to confirm both of those meet those requirements?
So, excuse me, I was able to confirm Jake Schellenberg. I unfortunately was not able to confirm Galen yet, and that is simply because The gentleman at the county office who supplies me with those lists was out of the office. He will be in the morning, and I can verify that in the morning, but I just was not able to confirm that one yet.
Okay. Hillary, do you have some advice for the board on proceeding tonight? Jake's not here, as of yet anyway. Galen may not meet the voter registration requirement. So you have a
Yeah, I think because even if she's not currently registered, it's a simple form to complete. If the board is interested in proceeding to interview her, then if an appointment were to follow, it would just need to be contingent upon her being a registered elector. Which again, if she's not, it's something she could take care of tomorrow. If she is, then it'll be all set.
Okay. So looking at direction from the board, do we want to go ahead and start with Galen?
Go for it.
Okay. So kind of the way this process will work. Just so everybody knows, we'll give, in this case, we'll give Galen the opportunity to explain why she wants to be on the board. The board may ask her some questions, may discuss amongst ourselves, but we will open it up to public comments as well, and then bring it back to the board. So everybody knows, if there is an appointment tonight, that appointment could be voted on tonight, but will take effect, and the oath of office will be given or presented at the July meeting, and not tonight. Okay. So with that, we'll start with Galen. You have a few minutes to sell yourself as to why you want to be on the board of trustees for the town of Pitkin. It's probably not.
Right, so, yeah. Well, I think most people in here know me, some of you do not, so, hi, I'm Galen. I have been here, it'll be 2 years, July 1st, accidentally, I was only supposed to be here in the summer. And, stumbled into a job and never left. And have, fallen in love with the town of Pitkin. What I thought was gonna be a summer home, has become my permanent home. And finally made it official and became a Colorado resident. Even though paying the state taxes kind of stinks after living in Texas for so long, but it is worth being here. I have fallen not only just with the town, but the town's people. I've gotten to know so many of you through the past 2 years. And it is the reason why I stayed here. And I've seen the town change, and I've seen it also stay the same without losing what it is, what makes Pitkin Pitkin. And I think that is, I want to help the community still continue with that, keeping Pitkin Pitkin, but also seeing what the benefits that have come with a little bit of change that has happened. And working together. I want to see a team effort. I don't have grudges against anybody in this town, so I feel I'm very partial. I like to think things through and look things through and not base decisions on who a person is. We had a couple run-ins that with our first summer here. How we were treated just because we were living in a camper while we're working on property. So it's just that balance of working what's best for the community, from the businesses and to the people who live here. And also, right now, there's no one who represents the employees of this town. The town has changed, and now we have year-round people who work and live in Pitkin. And decisions made upon here does affect our livelihood. And I think it's a good representation to have on the board as someone who sees that perspective also.
Okay. Is there any questions from the board for getting there?
Galen, do you feel like you have any certain agenda that makes you want to come on the board?
Agenda. No, I mean,
Any personal agenda, but
no person, I mean, I would like to, from research I've just done on my own, I know there's grants and different things that would help the community and the businesses within the community. That would not affect anyone being out of money here, but that maybe could possibly benefit Corey and Pam and Bob and I mean, just the museum, the art gallery, like it's something, there are things out there that I've stumbled across, you know, like things that would benefit everyone in town, but nothing personally. I mean, there's just helping the winter be better for people who live here, and the businesses and the livelihood of the employees here. You know, if there's things that are out there that the state would do that would help us, I would like to pursue that type of thing.
thank you.
I'll make a comment about grants, but I'll withhold.
Galen, maybe not really necessarily a relevant question, given that Jake's not here tonight. I think probably the concern he would have is if you end up on the board and Jake ends up on the board, are you willing to vote how you feel versus potentially against your employer?
Yeah.
I know that's a hard question.
No, it's not.
But I think that's the elephant.
I think anyone who has spent enough time in the Moose knows I argue with Jake quite a bit. I argue about him about his own business and what my opinion is, and things I don't agree with him on, to the point I drive him probably crazy because it is his business. But I will argue those facts. I have pointed out things I think need to be corrected when I don't agree with him. So on the board, it wouldn't be any different. Because we don't, him and I do not agree on everything. We never have, and we won't. And I am someone who speaks her mind, which I know the people who know me here are shocked by that. But I would do what was right and by the bylaws and everything in the city, not based. I've I've built myself in this valley. I mean, I can go into Gunnison and people know me. Just based on what I've already done as at my job. So yeah, job security does not bother me. So
There's no other questions from the board at this time. I'll open it up to public comments. Anybody like to make any public comments about Galen Pipes being on the board of trustees? Marie, you gotta go to the mic because I can't hear you, or the mic can hear you. I can't hear you on Zoom.
Well, I've never met you before. We don't go to the Moose that much. Can you hear me now? And being the ancient person here. Don't laugh. I'm just kind of seeing the overall picture and what people bring, and just wondering what kind of education you have in as far as leadership if you become a trustee.
So in leadership, I have a big background in several different things. I have started from scratch 2 churches back in the day, building children and preschool ministries from scratch. Every detail, and I was in a big city, so that means a lot of security and procedures and laws, rules, I guess, that go along with that. And training and building staffs on that. I have worked in management for the Container Store and traveled with them and creating stuff. My kids were in school, I did the PTA board and ran on those type of boards. I've never been on a city board, but I'm also from a big city So that's was never anything I would want to do in a big city. And yeah, so I have every leadership position I had is something that you have to look and know follow details and know the rules and the procedures, because someone could get hurt or something could be affected. So not only did I have to enforce those, but I had to create those in an environment multiple times back in Fort Worth.
Anyone else from the public or on Zoom? All right, I'll bring it back up to the board for further discussion. I guess I'll start off this part of the discussion. There are some concerns that I have in that you've been in Pitkin for 2 years. I'm gonna go back to my own example. We bought the cabin up at Halls Gulch in 2013. And when we moved here full-time in 2022, I thought I knew the town and all the people and the past history. And I have figured out in the last 4 years that I didn't know, even after 10 years, I didn't know all the people in the past history. And there is a lot of history in this town, and there's a lot of concern about how fast the town is moving forward, what could happen in the future. And I do know from my personal experience, after I was here for 2 years, I know how this town operates. I'm still learning every day how this town operates, how people think, and what people think and what they expect. Ideally, first of all, I'm glad that 2 people raised their hand at least to say they want to be on the board. I do have concerns, and everybody in this room knows that I've done a lot of work with Jake, through the depot, through the lodge, just working with him. But I also know that there can be a real difficult time sometimes separating employer-employee relationships, especially when it comes to a trustee position, where you're going to be put in some really awkward positions. And quite honestly, it scares me, because it can put you in a position that you may think, well, I know what the right thing for the town to do is, but I also know what someone else might want me to do. It puts you in a tough position that, to be real honest with you, I wouldn't want to be in. Because it's not a good situation. I'm concerned that Jake is not here tonight, because I don't know what the intentions are for sure, and that scares me. I've had people contact me saying they don't think it's a good idea that 2 people from the same business be on the board. They don't feel it's a good idea if a person has a spokesman to be on the board. And that's where my concern comes in, because I'm trying to look out for the good of the town, not just for the good of 1 or 2 people. And that, from the bottom of my heart, that concerns me. So I just want to lay my concerns out there, so people know where I'm coming from. I don't know what the right answer is. Ideally, I would have loved to have 3 or 4 people to choose from tonight and weigh all the resumes out, but it's hard to get anybody to come forward in the town of Pitkin to be on any board, let alone a trustee position. I'll be the first one to tell you, it's not a piece of cake. I got on it for the first time, the first year that I got on it, I thought, this will be easy. Because all my friends will quit doing stupid things and things will be smooth, and that ain't the case. That absolutely is not the case. So it causes you some great concern and tough decision making. So I want to put that out there, because it's not easy.
Can I respond or?
Mhm.
I mean, all that was thought about, I mean, I was thinking about this one, I didn't even know Jake was gonna be putting his name in. When it went up the first time I thought about it. I mean, it took me a little while to get my residency. But coming from the big city, I thought all DMVs were awful, I didn't realize it was so easy at the gun of someone, but I could have done it sooner. But all of that was thought about, all that. I thought about personally, Kevin and I have discussed and had that conversation. His little engineer mind went through all those details that you discussed. And I am not here because of the news, I'm here because that gave me an opportunity to live here year round. I'm here because of the town I found, what it's meant to me, what it's done for me. And I'm not one to back down, and I want not to let someone try to bully me. Like I said, I was on a church staff where I was the only female, so I've worked with straight males and had to fight and claw my way to get what was right for the children when they're usually the ones that are overlooked in the church. So I've done those battles. I'm doing this for Pitkin. This is nothing. I know a lot of people will not believe me because they don't know me. But I think some people who do know me know what's about Pitkin. And yeah, I understand your concerns. It has been thought out, discussed. Knowing very well what it could cost me doing the right thing, and that does not scare me in itself. I'm here to say, and then like I said, there's things that do need to be thought about and perspectives, and just another perspective to discuss things and how it affects the town and everyone in the town. Not just those who've been here forever, but short term also that have made this their home, because there are people who want this to be their home. But yeah, I mean, I understand what you've said, but yeah, that has all been deeply discussed and thought about. I'm willing to take that risk.
For your sit on, very unique, yes. Okay.
I'll just say, I don't know that I'm ready to vote on that with Galen tonight. I don't like the idea of making it contingent on voter registration, and realistically, I think I'd like to spend some time maybe talking with Galen just to get a better understanding. I hate to say that, and it's just. I think there's some valid concerns in having two people in the same business, but at the same time, there was years ago, my dad and I were on the same board. Albeit I don't know that he can necessarily fire me. But I would like to maybe spend a little time talking to Galen and just maybe try to put some questions at ease. I just would like to think it through a little more. I wish Jake was here too. Yeah, I just, to be honest, I don't know the lines tonight.
Okay.
I'm not prepared, and that's my fault. It's not just anybody else's fault. I probably should have done my due diligence and spoke to Galen a little more at length. So that's my fault. Now I'll own that.
And that's true. Jared, you have.
I don't have anything negative to say, but I would just like to give you a little more time in picking. Like, when we get a better feel of the town. I don't have anything negative, I just think you need more time. And I know legally it's all contingent, but I mean, anyway, that's my opinion.
So I do have another question for you, because I think a wrinkle was put in this tonight. since Jake is your employer and you're the employee at the Stumbling Moose, and now Jake's not here, what's your feelings gonna be if Jake says, I don't wanna run him? What's that appearance? And what's your feeling?
He's a. I mean. Doesn't change. What my plans are. This statement is gonna love to hear, but I mean, I mean, he changes his mind on things. I've dealt with that in the business aspect of the world with him, and
You don't have to finish if you don't want to.
well,
I think,
I think there's an underlying question within that question, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what was being asked. What Jake does and decisions he makes. Like I said, we don't agree on them a lot of the time. We've got a lot of different things. And I mean, even currently, I mean, I'm the mediator between him and our other employees of working out what they don't like or what they think is fair. And I deal with that every season. I have now become the mediator, trying to balance what's fair to his business and what's fair to the employees, because I see both sides and both perspectives. And so I do that on a weekly basis, especially at the beginning of a season. So if Interlight, I don't know, for anyone to think Jake has control of me, it's funny because I mean, I do things based on what I think is best for the business, unless it's something he has to approve. And so that's just not, I mean, even trying to work with the other business on some of the things to help save us all money. Like, I'm doing that because it's what I think is best for everybody, not what's coming from him. So if the concern is if he doesn't steps back and try to be behind the scenes, that wouldn't be the case. I'm not going to discuss anything that I'm not supposed to discuss with them. I'm not. My ethical person and my character are way too important to me to let someone try to control that. And I want to let it happen.
all right. So, I guess given what Gloria said, and yeah, I guess it would be a simple fix, but I think Corey has asked, basically, can we put it off till July for Gaten to make a decision? I don't know that there's anything wrong with us doing that. I'm looking at Hillary. Okay. So I guess, let's start with. We probably ought to, let's do a motion in a second if we want to. Continue her appointment until next month.
Jesse would like to make a comment.
Yes.
Jess Garrison, and probably this is for Hillary's, and maybe you have the answer, Mayor, but one of my concerns is if an issue comes up in behalf of Stumbling Moose Lodge, is Galen has to step down from the council because of maybe possibly a conflict of interest. And that's what I would like Hillary to ask or answer for us, please.
I'm gonna let our town attorney answer that. I am not gonna try to answer that question.
So the same ethical rules would apply to
Or
any
don't-
trustee?
Can't hear you.
The same ethical rules would apply to any trustee.
Oh, no.
No, just lost your audio.
Shoot.
We just had it.
Speaker. Okay, sorry. That was louder than I expected.
Oh, I can hear someone on Zoom now.
That was my feedback.
Oh, that was your feed. Okay.
Zoom land can hear Ms. Graham.
Okay, and now we can hear Pete. Hillary, try again.
Can you hear me?
Hey, we can hear you now.
All right. So same ethical obligations would apply to any trustee, and that's if they have a conflict of interest, they need to recuse. They cannot vote on a matter in which they have a conflict of interest, which is typically fairly narrowly defined as a pure financial conflict. However, my advice is always to err on the side of recusing if there's even a potential appearance of a conflict. So those would be matters that any trustee has to, negotiate through as they do their job.
Okay.
And we do
Thank
have
you.
an online comment.
Oh, we have an online comment now.
Yeah, go ahead, Ginger.
Hi, it's Ginger. Can you hear me okay?
You can.
Okay. And I may be misunderstanding. This whole topic really seems that it's around Galen, but are we also going to have a chance to hear Jake's point of view on why he wants to be a candidate and then could choose between the two of them or both?
Well, so each one is done individually, Ginger, so we'll go through Galen first. And then Jake did just walk in, so we will speak with him for the second position as well. So
Perfect.
Well-
Thank you.
We actually have another public comment. Michael Rupp said, oh, I lost it. Let me pull it back up. What determines what a conflict of interest is and who has it?
Hillary, did you see that? Or hear that? I mean,
I did. So I would advise the board on when a conflict presents itself. And board members are ethically obligated to, bring up the fact that there may be a conflict. So it's an obligation that board members have, and then I'm here to advise.
okay. All right. So no more questions, no more discussion up here. I would entertain a motion. Of what you want to do.
I'll make a motion to table the appointment for Galen Pipes to the July meeting.
I'll second it.
Galen, I guess we could add too, is your voter registration caught up? It's just
I filled it out when I did my driver's license.
Okay.
How long did you do driver's license?
It's in the fall sometime. I have to go back and look.
Because the latest voter registration that Stacy had was May 13th.
I believe so.
And you weren't on there.
I'll go back and check. Yeah, I got it, whatever comes and fill it out.
okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to table the appointment of Galen to July. All in favor, say aye.
Hi. Galen, I'll reach out to you. Like,
All right. Okay. Well, we'll put it off a month. And then the second appointment is for Jake Schellenberg. Jake made it in. So I explained earlier, kind of the process is we'll give each one of you to kind of give a little bit of time to present why you want to be on the board, basically to sell yourself or to why you would want to be a board of trustee position. And then we'll open it up to questions from the board, and we'll open it up to public comments and then bring it back to the board. And then make a decision at that point. So Jake, you're up if you want to come up to the podium and say a few words.
And Stacy, I guess same thing, residency, registration, all that stuff confirmed as well.
Yes.
Well, I didn't.
Drop.
I mean, there's one button, so it's pretty dumb.
It seems like it would be.
What's fair? I may have that one. I can change battery.
Battery about that. I'm good at breaking stuff. Yeah, I didn't know I had to prepare a speech, but I've been involved in town for a while now. Some of you may like it, some of you may not. And we all have our opinions. But I do have a passion for Pitkin. I can't say that I have ever had a strong desire to be a trustee. But I feel like only having 3 trustees is not healthy for the town. And so, and I think I actually had told Ed that when I told him I was thinking about it, that I felt like there needed to be more involvement on the board, and no one else was stepping up. And so that's basically why I did it.
All right. Well, just like I thank Galen, thank you for stepping up. Yes, I was hoping for 3 or 4 that we could choose from, maybe even 10 we could choose from, but getting 2 is pretty darn good. So then I'll bring it back to the board if there's any questions for Jake that we might have.
You understand that, I know you have projects in town, but you understand that you have to accuse yourself at times, certainly when it's involves your own dealings, personal dealings, business dealings.
Yeah, I think if there's a financial interest, like the town attorney was saying, yes.
And I'll, we already talked about it with Galen, and the question was having basically Galen and you on the board, one as an employee and you as the employer, how that would affect her decisions or your decisions, vice versa. I just, not that I don't believe that Galen would vote that way or one way, but it's just, there's a challenge there, right? Because she's an employee there of your business. So I think there's some concern there. Not just from us, but people that have voiced concerns about that. So could you address that?
Yeah. I don't think it would be, but I actually had no idea that Galen was actually gonna do this whenever the deadline had passed, and then Ed said that I was on there, and I actually asked him if there was anyone else. He said there was, and that's actually when I figured out it was Galen. So she had made a comment at one point, but I thought she was just joking, so I didn't think she was serious. But to be quite honest, if this makes people uncomfortable, I don't mind stepping away from this. It's not like I don't have enough to do. So I'm happy to not do this. So we can save ourselves a lot of time.
So I will say, as a business owner, I think you have a way more vested interest to be on the trustee as a trustee than one of your employees. So I honestly think it would be better if it had to be one or the other, which it doesn't have to be necessarily, but I think it'd be in your best interest and the town's best interest for you to be on it. At this point, Gay Lynn's has been tabled because we do not have confirmation that she's registered to vote. So it's really the topic or the conversations around you to be on the board at this point. I don't have any other questions for Jerry. Very quick. So let's open it up to public comments. Any public comments either in the room or online? Be willing to listen to those now. Go ahead, Justin.
Jess Garrison, yes. I totally am in agreement with what you just said, Ed, about the owner of a business versus an employee if there's a choice. And I have been very diligently wanting our business owners to have more speech, more say-so in our town. And I'm not ruled by money. But when you look at the sales tax revenue for the town of Pitkin in the last 4 years versus 10 years previously, these are assets to our town. And if we want to continue with improvements in town from snow plowing to mag chloride to everything else, it takes revenue. And I think our business people need to be right up the front line with a lot of say-so for the town and supporting all of our residents. And Corey, I appreciate you already serving as a business owner here, so thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Any other public comments? Maureen, we're gonna hand her the mic.
Well, I have a concern with, I understand growth, I don't have a problem with that. But deep in my heart, and of course, at the funeral we just were, we had some thoughts from the other ones that were born here as well on all the changes, especially the historic part of this town. And I guess my heart says one thing and my head says another thing about putting on the brakes of too much change. And this is my DNA. I was born here, I went to school here, and parents, grandparents, my mom was born here. And when I see the massive change, it just stabs me in the heart. And I just want to know how Jake feels about the big changes that have come so fast in the last few years.
You want to respond to that, Jake?
I think I could be incorrect, because I don't think I was here. But I would, I'll follow up with a question after I answer that. I've always said a town's either growing or dying. If it's stagnant, it's dying. And I have a passion for Pitkin. I never wanted to have a passion for the train depot, but once I did, there was a desire to leave it where it was, as it was, and that's a disgrace to future generations, to your grandkids, my future grandkids, from experiencing the history of Pitkin. And there's been a lot of positive feedback, and I know it doesn't matter what anyone does. There will be people that hate it and people that love it. And so that's something I have to live with. I will always do what I feel like is in the best interest of the town. And that's whether I'm sitting in one of those chairs or a business owner in the town. And that's where I'll leave it. Probably, and I may be completely incorrect because I don't know. But I'm just wondering if the other trustees that are sitting here, were you guys like, was this the process that all of you went through to be nominated? Questioned by the public and the board? I don't recall that, but I very well may not have been here.
So it's the most recent one. And so, yeah, I had to get up there and present myself, and present my case.
Okay, you presented it and then you were questioned by the public.
I don't recall there being a whole lot of questions.
Okay. Yeah, I was just checking on that. But if, you know, I think I consider most of you friends, and many of you may consider me an enemy. So, like I said, I don't have to do this. I'll just keep doing my thing. I think Galen would do an amazing job. There is it is a challenge because I had to turn her shock collar off to get her over here tonight because she's, you know, a slave over there. So, you know, I literally don't have to do this. If this is hard on people, and I'll keep doing what I've always done. I do not have to sit in that chair.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, could I comment about the process?
Yes.
So just to point out that this appointment process is separate from an election process. If a candidate had filled out a nomination petition and been nominated for the election in April, then the voters would have decided. But because this is filling a vacancy, the board is deciding. The term is shorter. It only lasts until the next regular election. So just keep in mind they're two different things. So if it seems unusual, it may be because there's another way that trustees get on the board, and that's by election.
Thank you for that clarification. All right, any other? Well, I got two of you. Okay. I got three.
Yes, if my memory serves me right, Jara and Ed were elected, not in this past election because we didn't have enough nominees to even have an election.
That's correct.
So you guys have been carried over, and then you were appointed basically in April, I believe it was, of this year to be on the board, and then Corey joined.
That is correct.
Yes.
All right, Fuzzy.
There we go. I guess what we're all wondering is that I need to ask, do you think by her working there and being with Jake, that let's say she clears $1 million deal that he's trying to get done, do you think that jeopardizes her position at the Stumbling Moose? Because of money. You can have great fans, but I've seen too many people go, oh, you're out of here because you're losing me money. I was just wondering if that ever came up. I think that's probably my main concern.
We're gonna stay under order. If you have something, Chad, you want to say, we'll get to you. Levi.
I just wanted to mention, I think it's entirely ridiculous. For sure.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous for you guys to decide who's on the board, who's not, based on if they're a business owner, and to show preference to business owners versus employees. Just my personal opinion. It seems kind of unfair. So that being said, Jake, I just had a curious question. You know, if you are elected or appointed, do you think you can follow the rules that you will be, up here presenting and representing. Because in the past, there's been, some issues with permitting and, just trying to skate by doing stuff that is kind of in the gray area. I just want to know if, you can uphold and be the example for the town.
Jake, I'll give you the opportunity if you'd like to respond.
I would say that my goal is always to try to do the right thing. There are times that I've made mistakes, as I think we all have. So as far as being a trustee, I think there's a process in place and procedures in place that kind of control a lot of that to make it pretty clear on how different issues are handled. So I don't think that would be a significant issue, but I think I think it would be easier on everyone else if I just removed myself from having my name in the hat. So I would like to do that now. I no longer want to be a trustee. I don't feel like these kind of questions came up for Corey is a business owner. People in the audience may disagree that I brought value to the town, but I think the town's checkbook shows otherwise. And so I think it's fine. No hard feelings to anyone. I don't need this. And I don't want people to feel like they have to talk about me behind my back as far as how I may be doing things incorrectly in that position, because I think it could shed a negative light on the town. So I'll just keep doing my thing, and I would like to remove myself.
I would say that I disagree with you. And I think you'd be a valuable asset to the trustees being a business owner in town. And I disagree with your decision. Just
I would like to add to that also. Think our zoning code is coming up here for 26 approval. It doesn't matter if you're a council member or a part-timer, a business owner, a voter or not. Those codes apply. And I would expect Mr. Schallenberg to line up with those ordinances, just like Jesse James, just like the mayor, just like our clerk. Every resident in the town of Pitkin needs to own up to the codes of Pitkin. And I would really, especially from the zoning board's point of view, want all of us to volunteer to do those things to make our properties match our 2026 zoning code. I don't care if it's a rock in the alley that's too close or what it is. If it's a car without a tag and it's on city property, I don't care what it is. Fix it so we don't have to go through a legal mess. Thank you.
thank you, Jesse. Anybody else? All right. Jared, Corey?
Nope.
Okay. So, because of the situation, I'm gonna ask the board. I'll make a motion that we open up the nominations. So anybody that wants to self-nominate for either one of the two board positions, to do so. Hillary, is there a date that we need to do that by? if we try to do it for the July meeting, the people need to have their nominations in.
You can establish whatever process you want.
We lost your audio.
Should I test it again?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
that's
it.
shaking.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I've got it back.
It shakes it loose. I don't know.
We got you now.
So Mayor and the rest of the board, you can set whatever process makes sense. If you'd like to have nominations in so that you can make a decision in July, then it can be, a couple weeks, but it's up to you. There's also the option of calling a special election, but I don't think that you'll have necessarily any more people willing to run. But that's an option.
So thank you, Hillary. Looking at our calendar, July 20th will be our next meeting. I would like to have time for the town clerk to verify if anybody does put their name in. She would have time to verify residency and the electoral, there was a fancy name for it. Registered to vote is what I called it.
Yeah.
So I would like to say by Monday, July 13th, that gives at least 5 business days for our town clerk to verify. Does that sound reasonable?
That's okay with me. I was just thinking 2 weeks from today. Whatever you think, though.
2 weeks from today would be the 29th of June. But you'd have to have it in by. Still gives 2.5 weeks to verify.
Okay, either one's fine.
Okay, you said 20, how about July 6th?
Okay.
That's halfway in between. Negotiation. So, I'd like to go ahead and do a motion, and I'll make the motion, and we open the nominations back up. For people to self-nominate through July 6th. Yes.
This is Jared, I'll second.
July 6th, sorry, did you say June or July? Sorry,
I think I said July.
I wrote down June, sorry. I know it's July.
Well, I think we'll pass that one.
Yeah.
Well, about 5 o'clock on July 6th. Okay, so we've got a nomination in a second. Anyone that'd like to self-nominate, we'll open it back up. To July 6th till 5 p.m. and then we will vote on July 20th. For the nominees. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right. All right, so we're gonna move on to ordinance number 4 of the series 2026 ordinance of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Pitkin, adopting the Town of Pitkin, Colorado zoning code of 2026. We started a public hearing at the last meeting. There were some questions raised. We continued the public hearing. There was also some of the questions that were raised were taken to the zoning board. And the zoning board has come back with some recommendations on some of those items, along with some recommendations from our building department and our building inspector and his administrative wife. So we want to go through some of those and I'll read the recommendations from the zoning board. And then once we go through those, the board will discuss it and then decide on it. And then there's a couple of other items that have come up in the last week or so that we may want to address as well. And then after that, we will open it back up to the public hearing and then see where we're at there at that point. So the first item that came up and I don't have that up on the board. The first item that came up from the zoning board is there was a request that we include in the zoning code going back to 2018 IRC, the building code. The building code is pretty clear in that it says that buildings need to be built to engineered specifications. And the building department had originally asked that we state that all drawings be stamped from a Colorado licensed engineer or an architect. So the zoning board had some discussion on that, and after quite a bit of discussion, and in discussion with Levi as well, the zoning board came up with a recommendation that we would remove the Colorado portion of a licensed engineer or architect, provided that an affidavit template could be provided from our legal counsel that states that the drawings are designed to Colorado accepted engineering practices. I think the concern was limiting any engineering or architectural drawings to just those engineers or architects in Colorado, when you might have someone maybe building, or maybe it's a metal building, maybe it's a prefab building, whatever, and they have engineered drawings for that building, and they could build it to the Colorado specifications. And we limit or we exclude those businesses or those people outside of the state of Colorado. So the zoning board recommended that the zoning code would say that the drawings need to be licensed from a licensed or engineer or architect, excluding the Colorado portion. And that is on buildings over 200 square feet. And that was the second recommendation, exemption of detached structures less than 200 square feet from engineered drawings. So I'll start with the board on thoughts of that recommendation.
Good job.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it has to be a Colorado engineer, but it has to be the same criteria,
That has to meet the Colorado
yes.
engineering practice.
Yes, I think anybody that's had to have anything engineered locally, you can have quite a time frame on getting engineering done. It's a good thing to be an engineering gunnison, but
Yes,
sometimes you're 6 to 8 to a year out on getting engineering. So I think it makes life much easier if you can have somebody who is outside of Colorado doing the engineering. I think it makes life easier on everybody in town.
So my question is for Hillary. Is it plausible to have a standard affidavit that an engineer might sign saying that the drawings are designed to Colorado accepted engineering practices?
I can certainly prepare that. I don't know that any engineer would sign that. That would be up to them. I mean, my only frame of reference for this is my law license. And if I was doing something for use in another state, but was asked to promise that I was complying with that state, I mean, I just don't know. So we can certainly try it, but I don't know that you're going to have engineers willing to put their name on something, and say that they're upholding standards that aren't in the state where they are licensed.
I guess so. With that being said, then we would stipulate in the zoning code that we would have to have the signed affidavit to accept those engineered drawings from someone outside of the state of Colorado.
Right, and that would be the change, but again, I don't know that it gets you where you want to go if no engineer will agree to that, but it's an option to try.
Okay, thank you.
That's something I hadn't considered. Because I'm just thinking we should try to be helpful. with these people who are trying to build and not throw up more roadblocks. So if that had not occurred to me that we, with that requirement, we might sure process. I don't know.
So just recently, I mean, one of the things that I've seen with a couple of building permits that have come in with drawings from outside Colorado. I think either Levi or in the past Tom has gone back and said, well, we need to make sure that the snow load is 105 pounds. Gone back to those building companies and they redrew it. So I don't think it's that they won't do it. I think we just, if we want the affidavit to protect the town and our building department, I think that has to be in the zoning code that we're gonna require that affidavit. Otherwise, if their engineer or architect won't provide it, then they're gonna have to get one from Colorado. It's the only way we can be certain that a building is being designed to Colorado engineering practice. And that is what is in the 2018 IRC. So I'm willing to give it a try and we put it in the zoning code if that's required.
I'm not opposed to that, and then if we find that it just doesn't work, what could we ask? Or have you already visited with the building inspector to get his opinion?
Yeah, please. I'd rather not repeat your opinion. The guy that slept since then.
Yeah, me too. One option, is this on?
No, I think it should.
Something you might want to think about is if we could do the research and talk to engineers and see, like, hey, I heard you willing to do this from outside the state, like, because we haven't done that yet. At least I haven't.
I haven't.
Yeah. So, maybe we stall this for a minute and say, check with some engineers, do some research and see if anyone's actually willing to sign this sort of affidavit. If they're not, then we're kind of back where we started. So my issue is with the new code that we have, like our mayor said, it has to meet local engineering standards. If we don't have an engineer stamping this thing, then I have to engineer it. And I'm not an engineer. And I've built a lot of engineered structures and I can say, yeah, this looks good, but I'm liable if I sign off on that permit and it falls down. And then ultimately the town is liable. At least that's how I understand it. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. So I don't know if you guys want to try reaching out to some engineers and see like what they're willing to do on this sort of thing, because I have no clue.
I think it's fair to do that. I think it's a crapshoot when you reach out to engineers, because you might reach out to one and say, yeah, I'd do it.
Yeah.
And the next 10 will say, hey, no way I'd do
Yeah.
it. So I don't have a problem trying to reach out to some to see if they do. I know of one personally that's retired from engineering. And he said, yeah, his company would do it, but that's one of how many, so.
Yeah, so I mean, it's ultimately up to you guys if you want to go ahead and push this forward or not. And then it's up to people to find their own engineer. So.
Well, we're not asking for just local engineers, are we? I mean, they could be we could reach out other places in Colorado.
Yeah.
But I'm really not willing to put it off. I think if people can't find an out-of-state engineer who would sign that affidavit, and it's their privilege to not sign that. But if they won't, then they just have to find somebody in Colorado. I think we should stick with our recommendation from the zoning board. Protect the town, protect the building and stuff. I would be willing to vote.
The only thing I'll add to that, a few comments here, is even if someone decides to find another engineer in Colorado outside of Gunnison, the specs for Pitkin are different than they are for Gunnison. And they're certainly different than if you go on the eastern slope or Pueblo or somewhere like that. They're different everywhere. So even if someone goes to a Colorado licensed engineer in Pueblo or Denver, they're gonna have to look up what the specs are for Pitkin. And the snow load specs in Pitkin are different than a lot of places. So they're still gonna have to look at it. So I'm with Jara. I'd like to move forward, at least on this recommendation, to put it in the zoning code that we allow non-Colorado engineers or specs provided they sign the affidavit. I'm okay.
Any engineer you choose, I assume you're paying them very good money. And you ought to be able to expect them to do due diligence for this location. No matter where they're from, but we certainly would need an affidavit for it.
So I'm gonna throw a wrinkle in this. Once upon a time in Texas, I was kind of going down this path. So Texas, and I think Colorado's the same, if you want to practice engineering, offer services to the state, you must be a licensed professional engineer. You need to use that for your test, you have all your experience. I don't know that if you require somebody to provide an affidavit and they're an out of state, I don't know what the legality is. I have my PE license in Texas as a civil engineer. And I perform engineering services in Colorado. I don't know that they legally can do that. And I'm just thinking out loud here. I haven't got that part through it until now. We may require an affidavit, but they may not legally be able to sign that because of, I'm sure the Colorado PE board has their own requirements. So I'm not familiar with this a long time ago, but I know in Texas it is illegal to offer engineering services without a PE. You can perform engineering services inside that building. I could be an engineer, Bob Williams, without my PE, but I cannot offer engineering services. And so I don't know. I've been upfront about this. I'd love to see other options and not say, no, you have to use Colorado engineer, but what we're asking may not be able to be legally done in Colorado. And I don't know the answer.
And there's not reciprocity among any states. Hillary?
I don't know. Again, my frame of reference is law licenses, and that you have to be licensed in the state where you're going to practice law. And I could find out for you, but I don't know offhand about engineers. I know it's similar in that it's a state licensing system for engineering. And you have to have your PE and you have to have your stamp, but I don't know what the restrictions are elsewhere.
That's my only concern. I am all for this idea. I just don't know that what we're asking an engineer out of state to do can actually legally be done in Colorado. And so, you might be able to find that engineer that's doing it, but then he may look into it and go, I legally can't sign this, so we may be chasing our tails on this. I want to figure out how to make this easy is the thing. I think we're all been fighting this for a while, that that's just the growth, that's the progress in the state is requiring more regulations and more rules. But I don't know what the answer is here. It'd be interesting to see. I don't know who to ask either. I don't know if they can call the Colorado Board of Engineers or the licensing board, but I'm sure they're going to probably give you a pretty generic statement.
Well, I might back you then. It didn't occur to me, of course, this is not my forte, but it didn't occur to me that we might have this sort of roadblock that it would even come up. I was just thinking affidavit, the man stands behind his word that he will do the due diligence for the Colorado requirements. So now
It should be that simple.
it should be. So maybe we do have to contact the Colorado State Board of Engineers or whatever their licensing board is. I'm really kicking things down again, but I didn't.
Hillary, you don't have any recommendations of who we can contact in another state to see if it would even be legal for them to sign an
Well,
affidavit?
I mean, I know engineers who are licensed in multiple states, but similar to people who have law licenses in multiple states. And there are large engineering firms who have engineers on staff to cover a wide geographic area. So I mean, I could certainly look into it, but no one right offhand, no.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this complicated, I promise. I'm just-
No. Do we?
Apparently Google says no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the internet's over.
On Google or on Zoom.
So if I rephrase it, let's see if I'm right, because I go to Mike.
Yeah.
Work engineering done in Colorado must be done by Colorado licensed professional engineer.
What if you get a steel building or a wooden building that's not available from Colorado?
That's the challenge.
That's the challenge.
Question.
I know.
That's really my-
Excuse me.
I think if anyone wants to sell something here in Colorado, they would have to get it approved somehow anyway.
And that's true. Mayor, I did do a little bit of research on prefab small structures. And if they're sold by retailers, they generally have stamped plans available for each state that they're sold in. But I didn't do a ton of research, and those were small structures, like they would be under the 200 square feet.
Also, if I can put my 2 cents in, I know a lot of larger prefab structures, like large mounted buildings, will have a Colorado licensed engineer. Or whatever state they're selling that in, they will have an engineer that is licensed in that state. To sign off on or to stamp those plans, so. It's not impossible to get structures from outside the state.
So this is Josh Ackerman. I'm a member of the zoning board with a couple people here. And so I originally kind of argued this point, and I know we kind of went back and forth, but I think we're all forgetting that in the state of Colorado, I think we have the most per capita 100,000 population cities. I think there's like 10 or 12. So I understand some of the frustrations with like getting an engineer in Gunnison, but I think we got Denver, Colorado Springs, Grand Junction. So there's a lot of areas where I think people could get this engineering done, and I don't think it would be that much of an ask. So just my personal opinion.
Thank you, Josh.
We do have a couple public comments online.
Okay.
Chris Geigley commented, he says, I have a comment on this subject. I've talked to engineers that I work with in Pennsylvania. In order to engineer something in Colorado, you must have a PE stamp for Colorado and a license. And then also Pete has his hand up.
Go ahead, Pete.
Stacy, were you laughing because I put my hand up? I know for a fact that licensed professional engineers have reciprocity in different states. So that's something that I think if you stick with a requirement for a Colorado licensure, that an out-of-state engineer or architect, which I think you should include architects, would have the ability to secure a license in Colorado if they were, adamant about getting the job done. And the other thing I would say, kind of along the lines of what Josh said, this is Colorado we're talking about. The business will be done in Colorado. And I think that it's best just to require a local Colorado, not a local, but a Colorado licensed professional to do the work. So there's no questions about what the quality of the work will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. I see a bunch of eyes looking at me, but I don't know something saying. So, all right, come on up, Fred.
I am going back to the restructured.
I think it's on.
Just get the restructured buildings, the metal building, and also trusses. Aren't they engineered? They don't have to be made in Colorado. as long as they follow the Colorado snow load. And I'm sure these buildings, no matter who makes them, depending on if they're Pueblo or Denver, or if they're in Leadville or Crescent Butte, which gets more snow, they're gonna require a heavier snow load. So I think as long, I don't know about the laws or anything, but it seems like as long as they meet the requirements, why do they have to be stamped in Colorado? As long as they meet the Colorado requirement.
As long as we can be sure that they meet the Colorado requirements, and that's the gray area. All right, I'm gonna bring it back up here then. I don't see any more hands raised
No more online.
online. So do we want to go back to leave the Colorado licensed engineer architect, or?
I don't want to have to require it, but I just don't know that. We can say you have to sign this affidavit, but somebody may say, well, I'm not signing it because I don't have a license there. I can't legally practice engineering. That's my whole point. I'm not trying to make this hard. I just don't know what we're asking is legally an option for another engineer. And I get it, it sucks. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this hard, but we can make these requirements that mean an engineer is gonna ever sign it.
But if we make a requirement of having an affidavit and an engineer from outside the state won't sign it,
Yeah, you still have to get a Colorado engineer.
then you still have to get a Colorado engineer. Sign off.
But I guess my point is this may all be for naught because that may not be able to be done legally in Colorado. That's what I'm saying.
And I don't know how to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I like to probably reach out to the board. They do all the certifications maybe, but I have probably get kind of generic response of you must be licensed in Colorado.
But there surely are, if I am thinking right about all the input we've had here tonight, it's kind of news to me. They can either get reciprocity or there are engineers that, that can either they can either make arrangements. I mean, we can still, as long as we have those requirements and as long as that person is, it sounded to me like they can get reciprocity or they can, if they want the job, they can do that. And if they don't, then the person hiring this engineer has to go somewhere else, find another engineering. I don't think we're wrong in our requirements. And I think it's just up to the consumer to find someone who will work with our building inspector and conform to our codes. I still think the buck needs to stop with the consumer, and we can't just do everything for everybody. It's just not gonna work if they won't sign the affidavit, or maybe that's not exactly what we need. We just need someone who is willing to prove that they are a licensed engineer in this state.
Well, there's not essentially reciprocity. They're not reciprocal. That's what I'm saying. It's not just like, oh, I have a Texas license, so give me a Colorado license. Colorado still has their own requirements of hours worked, experience. So it's not as simple as just going, oh, I have the license. It's not like, say, a concealed weapons permit that most states are, Texas and another state are reciprocal. And you just cross the state line with that because it's okay. There's still a licensing process. They can't just waive their PE from Texas and get it here. So I guess my thought, my brain, I may be wrong on this. I'd like to see if Hillary could dig into this just a little bit. So like I said, what we're asking may not even be legal for somebody to sign. And then we're saying, hey, you got to have a Colorado licensed engineer, or we're going to have you sign this affidavit that you legally can't sign. Why don't we put it in? So I don't think it's probably with Hillary's available resources, this probably isn't that hard to solve.
So Hillary, would that be possible with your team to do a little bit of research to see if it's even legal for other architects or engineers outside the state to sign an affidavit like that?
Yep, I will look into that.
I do think we need to make a provision for. Which includes architects and stamp plans in the state of Colorado license, so.
I think it should be both. Yeah, I'll look into both.
Yeah, the state of Colorado allows for both engineers and architects to set up. Okay, because essentially the liability fall under.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave that one that Hillary's and her team will try to research the legality of the affidavit. All right. So then the next one on the list, we're gonna talk about exemption of detached structures, less than 200 square feet from engineered drawings. And then the third one on the list was prefab structures, so like sheds that are greater than 200 square feet will require drawings from the manufacturer that meet the Colorado accepted engineering practices. And I think we already heard conversation on that. That if you get a prefab building that's greater than 200 square feet, most companies can give you drawings that show that it meets the Colorado accepted engineering practices, so it shouldn't be a big issue getting those drawings. So that was a recommendation. Greater than prefab structures, greater than 200 square feet, require drawings from the manufacturer that meet Colorado accepted engineering practices. That was a recommendation from the zoning. So are we okay with that?
Yes, I believe so, once we get smashed Hillary.
Yep, from the top one, okay.
I wonder if that's possible for us to get anything done so we can get this back on the agenda next month. This zoning code has been worked on for 2.5 years.
Over 24 months. Okay, so Hillary, I know Hillary research had you back something probably within the next week or two before the next meeting, so we can move forward on it. Some of this, like this, the prefab structure shed, we'll have in a clean version for the zoning code for next month. So that we can try to finalize that as we move forward. So the next item on this list of recommendations from the zoning board is concerning shipping containers. And the first item on shipping containers, or brand name that a lot of people use, is the Connex. Shipping containers less than 200 square feet do not require a building permit, but meet setbacks. So there'd be a setback verification requirement for less than 200 square feet. Anything over 200 square feet in a Connex or shipping container requires a building permit. So if it's greater than 200 square feet, it would require a building permit. Any containers modified by cutting of the sides, the roof, or the floor will require drawings stamped from an engineer or architect with the design to meet Colorado accepted engineering practices. So if any cutting happens on sides, roof, or floor, then it has to be engineered or architect drawings designed to meet Colorado accepted engineering practices. Fourth item is any container modified to become a habitable structure will be considered permanent and shall be placed on a foundation. This type of a structure will require a building permit along with stamped drawings from an engineer or architect that is designed to meet Colorado accepted engineering practices. Part of that then refers back up to our original question of engineer drawings. If someone outside the state could do it or sign an affidavit, so we'll need an answer on that. And then the last bullet point on shipping containers is it's requested from the zoning board that this section be added to the zoning code as a separate category under accessory structures or where applicable by the town's legal counsel. So it's specified solely as shipping containers or metal shipping containers or connexes in the zoning code under the accessory structure section. So it has its own line item for, because it's a little bit different on shipping containers than other buildings. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet points on the shipping container. What's the board's input on the recommendation from the zoning board?
I don't particularly have any problems with any of it, to be honest.
I was okay with what I read.
Okay. I'm in agreement on shipping containers, and as we move forward, that we follow these 5 bullet points, you know. So we'll ask on the shipping containers, we'll ask Hillary to add that into the zoning code. The way it's spelled out there, and you do have a copy of that, correct, Hillary?
I do, yeah. So would you want it to be a separate defined term? Instead of considering it an accessory structure, do you want it to be its own thing?
I think I'm gonna ask, I guess I'll ask for your input, because I think it could be either under accessory structures or it could be a separate item. And
Yeah.
If you feel that it has to have it a separate item, then that's where it ought
Well,
to be.
I think it should be defined. I'll propose some changes, that make sense. I think it really is an accessory structure, so yeah, I think we're treating it like an accessory structure, except for the things that are specific to it about cuts and habitable. Accessory structures would normally be habitable. Yeah, I'll propose some changes.
Okay, thank you. We got Levi up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you do make it a separate item, make sure you separate the residence part from the accessory building part. Because the residence just falls in under a normal house permit. It's just that's not an accessory building.
As she was saying that, that's running through my head. So good clarification. Okay. So. Right up on our sheet. All right. So that was the items from the zoning board. There's been a couple of other things in talking to Levi as well that have come up. So I want to bring those forward. One is, I think it is important in the zoning code that we do state that a setback verification without a permit is required. So as an example, on a building less than 200 square foot, or a building that's less than 200 square foot that someone wants to move on their property, that would require a setback verification. Doesn't require a building permit, but require a setback verification. And I believe in the fee schedule already, we outlined a setback verification fee in the fee schedule. We just didn't define it in the zoning code. And I think that's something we should have in the zoning code to specify when a permit is not required, a setback verification is required, and that setback verification should also have a site plan with it as well. Just like we would for a building permit. So we would currently to have our team to add that to our zoning code.
Yep, I think that's not just for what it's worth. I was just looking at the fee schedule currently posted. We have a setback review for a fence, but I think it maybe should just be a setback review non-permitted or something. So to that, we may need to add that to the fee schedule just as a.
What's the date on that? Is that
October 20th? Yeah, it's on the website.
We've updated it. I could have found. I don't have it in front of me. I'll look at that. So, okay. I thought we added a setback verification fee to the fee schedule on our last updated piece, which was a month ago. Rachel's giving me a confirmation that, yeah, we didn't. Okay.
We might need to get that updated then.
Yeah, on the website. Okay, then the next item is on a fence permit replacement or fence replacement. And you know, it's been, I'm gonna explain this. It's been brought to light, not that anybody has done anything wrong with fence replacement recently. But if we say that just in the past, it has been pretty standard that if a fence is repaired, no permits required for it. And then there's been a couple of instances or cases over the last year or two where maybe a wire fence was taken out and then another fence, a nice fence, was built back. And we, at that time, we said, no permits required. One of the issues we can get into is that how do we know for sure that fence is put back? If it was on the property line or the 5-foot setback, how do we know if it's replaced if no one ever checks? And I'm not saying anybody's gonna try to cheat anything. But it'd be pretty easy if I'm putting up a fence, I'm taking down a fence, like, I really wanna move it over 6 inches. Well, no, I wanna move it over a foot. God, is anybody gonna notice if I move it over 3 feet? So the idea is on a fence, a replacement of a fence. Is that if it's a like for like replacement, where you replace some panels on a fence. Or you replace the panels or even a post, and the material, the height and the location was all the same. Then no permit would be required for that. However, if it's significant replacements, like 50% of the fence is replaced. And or the material has been changed, or the height or the location has changed, then it would require basically a new fence permit. With the fees, the setback verification to make sure that we put it back into the right spot. I'm not saying it's been a problem recently. It's just one of those loopholes that could be a real issue later on down the road. And sitting in this seat, the more we can minimize issues, the better off we all are. So that was the recommendation that came up, or the thoughts that came up with a fence replacement permit. When we would require no permit, like for like, same material, height and location, replacing panels. Or if it's significant replacement, 50% or more of the fence, or there's a change in material, height and location, that's considered a new construction of a fence. So a fence permit would be required. Yay, nay?
I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, I would agree with that. So, Hillary, do you need me to type this up and send it to you, or are you capturing it as I'm mumbling?
Yeah, I'm taking notes. I think I've got it.
I've got my notes too, if you got questions, so I don't know if I'm reading, but I've got them. All right, then the next item is what do we do if a building construction starts without an approved permit? So we say we've got to have a building permit, building starts, we don't have an approved permit. What do we want to do anything about that?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody have anything? No. Yes, that's just on legal avenues, yeah.
So we did do a little bit of research from around the area to see what other municipalities, counties might do. It seems to be pretty standard that if you start a building without the approved permit and then you have to get a permit, it's double the cost. So whatever, depending on what the building, what the structure was, hopefully someone wouldn't start building a house without an approved permit. But someone might, or we wouldn't start a shed or even a garage, anything over 200 square feet. So the fee, if you start building without the approved permit, I don't think is outrageous. If it's double the permit fee. I do think as we go forward, I don't. If I could say something, I don't mean this in a bad way. I think today, if you ask for a building permit, I think you're gonna get it in a very reasonable time. I won't say that's always been the case in the last, well, since 13, since I've been around. Not always, but I don't think that's an issue today. And I think going forward, if it is an issue, someone provides or someone submits a permit and it seems like it takes too long, then you can let one of the board members know, not the mayor, the board members. Just kidding. You can let the mayor know too. But I think that's a reasonable request that we ask people, get a building permit before you start. And the permit, it's the permit fee double.
Yep. I think that's just right. Well, septics and fences.
I absolutely, because it'd be in the zoning code.
Yes.
It would include fences. I don't know about our OWTS ordinance since it's separate. If we can do that without opening the ordinance up.
That ordinance has its own penalties and it relies somewhat on state law, so I would say no. That would need to be in the OWTS ordinance itself. This Mayor, this poses the question of whether this is an amendment to the IRC. Because the IRC is what actually controls stop work orders and things like that. So I think we need to be thoughtful about that.
Okay, I've got a building inspector up here waving his hand, so I'm gonna let Levi speak to that. He may know. A lot better than I do.
The IRC building code says you can set your own plans. And it's standard practice to do double the permit.
So if the IRC said we can set our own fine, standard practice is double the fees. Does that mean we have to open up the ordinance for the IRC?
Well, the ordinance adopting the IRC did include penalties for violations. So that would be the appropriate place to specify that it's double. I don't think it's in there now. I can check.
I would say let's check to see if it's in there, and then we need to make. So what you're saying is to put it in there, we'd have to open the 18 ordinance back up. Okay.
Correct. It'd have to be readopted.
Okay. That may limit. Someone have their hand up?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, so we'll have Hillary check on that. I'm gonna go ahead and move on because we're getting late and we still got a number of items to get through. Some of them we have to get through. So the last item then on the zoning code is there's been several comments brought up about the size in the 2026 zoning code, the sign size in residential district. And the way the code is written, it's a maximum of 50 square feet on a sign in residential district. And put that in perspective, that's greater than a 4x8 sheet of plywood. And a number of people asked me, and I know they've asked Corey and probably have asked Jared too, isn't that a little large for one or two signs in residential district? Which I'd have to think about myself. So the question to the board is, do we want to change that square footage down from 50 square feet? Do we want to make it smaller? The zoning code does require, in even residential districts, that you get a permit for a sign. But does 50 square feet seem awfully large and maybe unreasonable?
I'll apologize for beating the dead horse here. I think we passed it out, but. Yeah, it was brought up again that, maybe for Pitkin, a billboard size sign at everybody's house in residential is maybe not the best fit. I started kind of thinking about it in terms of, you could potentially have somebody that abuses that for the wrong reasons, and so I think maybe limiting if that's something more reasonable. I don't know what the old code off the top of my head. I want to say it was like 5 square feet or something like that, or 10 square feet, which I think a more reasonable size there. And if I recall, the way we got here was legal advice, basically revised the sign ordinance, and this was some numbers that were pulled from other sign ordinances. So my gut feeling is maybe not the right size for Pitkin. So I would propose something a little smaller. I don't know that we want to drive through residential and there's 5 by 10 billboards.
That's fair. Jerry, you have anything?
Yeah, that is certainly what I. It could be small.
I'm speaking for myself, I don't have, in residential district. And this excludes, your political sign, it excludes your. For realtor signs because they're handled differently. So. I don't know in residential district if something more than 5 square foot is actually needed for a sign. And it's gonna require a permit. If you wanna put up your street address, which the Wildfire Resiliency Code encourages you to do. You could put that on a 1 foot by 3 foot, and it would be pretty big, that's only 3 square feet. You put it on 1 foot by 5 foot. And I think all of our firefighters could see. So I don't think that'd be an issue. And that's 5 square feet. I can't imagine what other kind of sign a resident would want to put in their yard permit that's larger than 5 square feet. And someone can think of something, educate them, because I don't know.
I think 5's plenty reasonable. I apologize, it took us a while to get to this conclusion, but. I think 5's a plenty reasonable size. Like you said, I can't try to think off the top of my head why you would have a sign that doesn't fit into the other categories here. Or I guess the other provisions that would need to be bigger than that.
Jerry, are you okay with
Yes.
5 square feet? I'm okay with 5 square feet. But I'll ask Hillary to make that change in the zoning code as well. And that was the last of the items or recommendations. So I'm gonna move this along. We continued the public hearing at the last meeting to tonight. So at 8:53, I'll open the public hearing. If anybody has any other comments they'd like to make about the zoning code in general. Anybody online?
No one online.
I've got one in the audience, Ramon. Because of the essence of time tonight, I'm gonna limit comments as we go forward to 3 minutes, so.
I'll be quick.
Okay.
I want to thank the board and the zoning commission for eliminating the really contentious issues. I think that we can have some further discussion on some of those and maybe move forward. I just have 2 things that I would like to suggest. In section 10, on page 9, at the very top, in the section 10, this was number 2 here, temporary employee housing was moved actually from temporary uses, I believe, that originally appeared in. And it's basically says nothing other than do what you want to businesses if you need temporary housing. And I think it needs more than that. At the very least, temporary housing needs to comply with the rest of the code, especially in things such as sewer and water usage and availability. This says nothing about it. So my suggestion at this point would simply be to delete number 2 here and have some further discussion on it and get the wording right. We go to the second item. If you look at section 22, subdivision. This is so bad that I have the same suggestion, just remove this. It's a new section. And if you've actually dealt with subdivisions, which this town never has, the town was subdivided, the town of Pitkin was subdivided in 1879 when it was founded. And it subdivided into mostly 25 by 125 foot lots. This doesn't tell you what a subdivision is. Obviously, you're thinking about something else, whoever put this in. But the wording in this is simply really bad. It doesn't tell you what a subdivision is. If you look at this section, part B says subdivision plat prepared by a licensed professional. What does that mean? If I'm a professional hair person with a license, does that qualify me? I mean, this just wasn't written, to the same standard as the rest of this. So my suggestion, and I don't think you need it at this point. So take it out and have some real discussion on it and get some better input than you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. Any other comments online, in-house? All right, so at 8:58, I'm going to close the public hearing. So where we're at right now with the zoning code is we've had now 2 different public hearings on 3 different nights. We've brought up some concerns, some recommendations of some changes that we would like to put into the zoning code 2026. So we've asked Hillary to do some research on a couple of items to update our zoning code. So at this point, I'm going to ask the board if we're in agreement to table the zoning code ordinance until July, so we can have a clean copy to look at everything that's in the zoning code to date. I think we had some significant changes tonight. I don't think it would be correct to approve the zoning code tonight without providing a clean copy. So if
Mayor, do you also want to continue the public hearing, or is the public hearing going to be closed after this evening?
I'm not in a disagreement to continue the public hearing to next month. If we're allowed to do that a 3rd time.
You sure are.
Okay. So then I'll make a motion for the board that we table the Ordinance number 4, series 2026, an ordinance of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Pitkin, adopting the Town of Pitkin, Colorado zoning code 2026. We table that until the July 20th meeting, and we continue the public hearing from tonight to open it back up on the July 20th.
I'll second it. This is good.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. And that takes us to the next one, the resolution for the Board of Trustees for setting compensation for the members of the zoning board. As I've stated multiple times, we cannot adopt that resolution until we pass the ordinance. So we will table item E as well, and I'll make that motion to table item E to July 20th meeting.
I'll second that motion.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Item F. Oops, let me go back here. Let me get out of here. Oop. Item F, for those that are watching up on the screen. Item F is really to see what our audit status is. And Stacy, if you can give us some feedback on that.
I can absolutely give you a little update on this. I had the gentleman's name in my head until you started speaking about this, so let me just find it. I have been speaking with the gentleman that has done these for us in the past for us. I am not seeing his email right now, but I have contacted them. John Cutler, that's what it is. And they've worked with Sarah in the past, and so he sent me the list of what he needs, and I've been working on that. I'm probably just a couple days away from having everything for him. And he's working up the letter of engagement to send over to me. So that's where we are with that.
And when does this have to be complete by?
The due date on that is in my head, I've got it as July, but I think the actual due date is August. I don't have that with me right now. Thank you, Mayor.
I'm not sure I can pull it up that fast. I thought I pulled it.
I thought I had this right at the top, but that's wrong.
I guess the question is, does John think he can get it done?
1,000%. Yes, that was my first question is, hey, I'm terrified that I've reached out too late. Can we still do this? And he said, oh yeah, no problem. Here's the list. Let me know if you need help. So feeling confident about that one.
Just so the last day to submit the audit to the state auditor is July 31st. That's also the last day to file a request for an extension, and I really do not want to.
No.
Okay.
I hate extensions, so hopefully we will not. Last case scenario, I do not like kicking the can down the road for myself, so no.
Okay, so you get it. So the auditor is John Cutler, so you've got the information to him. Yeah, let's see where he's at. When we're ready, June 15th. So clock's ticking. We're gonna have it in 6 weeks. All right, that's a good update on the audit. Next item is a liquor permit for Terrible Mountain Art Gallery. And I thought that, Jesse might be here. I'm kind of surprised that they're not. So to let people know, a retail establishment or an art gallery by the state of Colorado has a complete different process to get an application for a liquor license to give away free alcohol. at an art gallery or retail establishment. The state does charge a minimal fee in comparison to a regular liquor license. And the town has adopted that we would have a fee to cover our administrative expenses. And then in that permit for an art gallery, they can provide free alcohol for a maximum of 4 hours per day. And I don't remember off the, don't do that. I remember off the top of my head, they're limited to number of days in a year that they can provide the free alcohol, and they have to, in their permit, they have to list the days that they're going to provide or offer the free alcohol. By state statute, it's a complete different liquor license than a regular license if you're selling alcohol. So I don't know where the board wants to go with this because they're not here. We can't ask any questions. That makes it a little bit difficult, in my opinion. But their first date that they wanted to offer was July 3rd. Not sure what we want to do. It's
Yeah,
me,
I would say we're here.
to me, it's advisable if you're applying for a liquor license, you gotta be present.
Yeah, I would say we're here. Look through it, it looks complete. I'll say that. I mean, I don't know that there's any lacking in application. I don't know that I would really particularly have questions like the word here. These permits kind of spell out, like I said, dates and times, and there's a lot more stipulations on them. So I don't know that I would really have questions. I just do wish they were here for them. But they do have drawings attached, where stuff was served, and it looks pretty comprehensively complete.
I did have a couple of questions for them that I still would like some answers to. So I'm disappointed they're not here, so we could ask them and get on down the road with. So what does the board want to do?
Do you have a audience comment?
Want to call them?
Yeah.
I'd like for them to be here. They should be here. I understand the state having different requirements for this, but there's still some questions that I think should be asked in person. So do we want to table it? Do you want to act?
We kind of have a matter of principle, everybody else that has a liquor license had to be here for it. Not necessarily if they had to be, but they have been, or they've had a representative here. I will say, this should be pretty straightforward. I personally fine with doing a special meeting if necessary, but I hate that it's gonna have to go to that potentially to meet their deadlines for their first dates. So my hope is that something came up. This was not intentional.
I would agree with that.
I don't have any problem with the application. It's very well done. So I think we should table it. I'd be willing to do a special. I don't want to cut them, not here, but I didn't really have any questions, but if anyone on the board does, we need to have those answers before we would act on it. So I was making a motion that we table this to. I don't know. Are they out of town or whatever? I would try very much to be very hard to be available for. And I think giving them more, another chance is.
I'm hoping this is double-edged. I'm hoping something came up. I'm hoping something didn't come up. Because they were here in town today. I saw them both today. So Jared's made the motion to table it to a special meeting.
I'll say motion. Sorry.
I thought I said I'm making them.
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
I get busy, man.
Okay. So Corey, you wanna second that?
Yeah, I'll second.
Before you vote on that, what's the date of the special meeting, or when will that be determined?
I think we're gonna have to talk with them to figure out a schedule.
It's the 15th. We can pick a date.
They were in town today.
Can we just call them, themselves down?
Yeah, I think there's a matter of principle that everybody else that's had to go through this was here on time in person. And then you start setting a precedent, oh, if you don't show up, we'll just call you. I don't mind.
I don't mind setting a special meeting, but I think we're gonna set a special meeting. And they'll either be here or they won't. And it'll either get approved or it won't.
So perhaps we should go ahead and set a date that suits the board. And then they really should make arrangements to be here since we're making that offer.
What's the availability of the board, say June 22nd?
That's fine with me. I was just saying,
What day is that?
Monday, next Monday. I'm here.
And it's June 22.
22nd. 7:00.
It should be a very short meeting.
Should be a short meeting, but still has to be posted with an agenda.
Yes, yeah.
So we're gonna add the June 22nd. Do we need to add that to the motion, Helen? Yeah.
Yes,
So
please.
we'll amend your motions.
Yes, I'll amend my motion to include setting the date of June 22 at 7 p.m.
Corey,
I'll second it.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right. Moving on. Next item is placement of donated playground equipment on town property. As late as it is, and
We can.
grateful. Been given the time already at 9:15, and the next couple items could be lengthy.
That's what I'm just saying, everybody.
But I think maybe I'd be in favor of table.
It's okay.
Do we need a motion for it, please? I'll make the motion to table the placement of the playground to the July meeting.
I'll second it. I wrote Jared down already, second. Okay. And then the next item, what's that?
Vote on
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Jared. Or Jared, thank you, Jesse, not Jared. All in favor, say aye to table it.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next item, private property on town property and vehicles, trailers parked on town right of way. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been inundated with questions, comments, phone calls about when's the town gonna get people with private property off the town property? Or we've got people that are parking trailers or vehicles on town property, particularly on alleys or lanes that are 15 feet wide with a 5-foot setback. And are parking vehicles, trailers, whatever, on those alleys or lanes in their 5-foot setback. And those vehicles are not 5 foot wide, so that means they're hanging out in town property. So I don't know why, over the other day, I was going to get the mail, and I don't even remember now, someone was looking at the posting in the bulletin board outside. And lo and behold, he said, hey, could I take this down? This was a posting that the town put out 2 years ago about please get your private property off of the town of Pitkin property to plat its streets and alleys. And here it is again this summer, and we've got issues again. So, because I've had enough phone calls and people wanting to know, when is the mayor or the board gonna go talk to these people? Well, I wish people in this town would start to grow up and act like adults. And start talking to your neighbors if you've got an issue. Because relying on the town to say, well, the town needs to take care of this is quite ridiculous. There's not a child in this room right now. But by God, there's some children in this town that want to act like children. So I put together a list that I went around. I started this last week. I made some comments to some people. And some of the things have been taken care of and some of them haven't. And the board, I am hoping, is going to decide tonight what we're going to do with people that want to park on a 15-foot wide roadway, hanging out in the roadway, blocking traffic. And it is a safety concern, whether they want to realize it or not. A fire truck may not be able to get through. And it's not legal to have private property sitting on town property without a written variance or approval from the town. So there's, looks like there's 18 items on here right now. Did I get every one of them? I'll tell you what I tried to do. I tried to get the items that were safety concerns first, that are on roadways, that are blocking roadways. I tried to find, I didn't look. I went to locations where people have told me they're tired of someone having private property on town property. One of the items came up from the cemetery board. So look at the list. There is, from the list that I sent out to the trustees, there might be a couple of issues resolved. There might be one or two issues actually added to the list. I'm not interested in private property like walkways over the ditch that's on town property, because that's actually helping safety, not a safety issue. But some of these are flat out wrong and need to be addressed. So the top 4 were issues. They have been resolved. From row 7 down through 19 are still issues. And I don't know how the board wants to move forward. My point is, the town shouldn't have to notify the people. Some of this is because neighbor to neighbor. But that's my question to the board. Do we want to notify the people? Give them 14 days and then we'll have it removed. The town will have to pay for it up front. We'll put it in storage. And when the owners want that property back, they can pay for the tow bill and the storage fees. Yes, Mr. Taylor. You can't.
I noticed my name was up there twice and when I found out that, all right. Hello. 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 Okay. When I found those picnic tables in front of the hotel when we got back in town, I immediately had them moved. Okay, and I see that that's regarding that sign. Hate to call him out, but Jesse gave me permission to do that. And
I said, if the county said the right of way and in their easement, yes.
Well, nobody from the county gave issues with that.
Well, I wanted you to go.
Now it's the town that's giving.
So let me just clarify.
So we even donated $500 to the cemetery just as a goodwill gesture to put that sign there. And Jesse approved it. And so I thought everything was fine. So now I'm hearing it's not. So I'm just letting you know that was not some sort of malicious, decision that we.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So. And I guess I'll just clarify. When it came to me, because it did come from at least one member of the cemetery board. Of concern if it could actually be placed there or not. I went down to look at where the sign was located. And it's not located in the right of way at all. It's actually located 30 feet from the center of the road back is where it's located. It is on town property. I did seek legal counsel this last week with Hillary and asked her, actually, I think it was yesterday. Might have been this morning. I don't remember when I talked to her about it. But because it's on town property, it shouldn't.
Okay,
So
so I'll tell you this, I have no problem with that sign. This is the first I've heard that there was an issue. And if I knew it was an issue before, I would have never put it up. So I don't want to be looked at as a bad person here. Okay.
I understand. It first brought to my attention a week.
Consider it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Yes, when Bob asked about that, I didn't have the authority to grant to him. I'm sorry. I did, but what I did say, as long as it's on the county road right of way that have the committee go across the cemetery property and they approved it, then I was happy for it. Now, I don't know if council says a sign in the right of way of a blacktop is their jurisdiction or the town's. And I don't know if the 60-foot right of way, 30 foot from the traffic pattern of pavement, or where that starts and stops. There's a lot of unknowns here, but I'm happy to help you put it wherever it needs to be or not be. Thank you. Appreciate you.
I feel very confident. So, Corey, go for it.
Okay. This kind of gets back to the little good neighbor thing, right? I think this has been the elephant in the room for a long time, and we've all wanted to just kind of ignore it, turn a blind eye to it. But you have abuses to it, right? People that can't keep the nose clean and do the right thing. And so unfortunately, it's gonna have to come to a head. You can't say, hey, you have to move your sign, but you don't have to move your sign. Or you have to move your vehicle, but you don't have to move your vehicle. And I'm sure there's gonna be people go, well, what about so-and-so? Oh, sorry, we missed it. Ed missed it, maybe I missed it, whatever. It's not a comprehensive list, but we gotta start somewhere. You know, I've been here 12 years and this has been something that comes up occasionally and everyone's hoped it would just kind of die down and disappear, in my opinion. And I guess it's just time now, you know, unfortunately. And I don't want to be in the position of picking and choosing is the thing. I don't want to say, well, this one's okay to be on town property and this one isn't. It's just, maybe it's time, guys.
Yeah.
I want to remind you, you do have a nuisance ordinance that also is involved here that specifies licensed, up-to-date tags, not tagged, all those kinds of things. And I've been notified by people of our community of two more that you don't have this there.
So Hillary, do you have a recommendation on what we can do to move forward?
Well, the town can certainly provide notice. It would have to provide notice before removing anything. So written notice with a deadline for compliance, after which the town could take action.
And I think that's obviously the right course is to notify everybody. I just hate that it's gotten to this point.
Me too.
You know.
We do have an online comment. Pete, go ahead.
All right, Pete, go ahead.
Yes, I think that probably Jesse and Jara will recall, but historically going back, probably back into the mid-teens, and for a number of years, annually the town council reviewed a list of, I don't know, 7, 8 properties that had encroachments on public rights of way. And the town granted permission for those encroachments to continue, provided that an insurance indemnification was provided to protect the town from any potential liability. So I think as you go about making this list, you're going to perhaps uncover a few of those, and those people may have an argument that they have a right to continue because they were granted permission historically. So that's just something I think you may need to be aware of. A number of those are contained in the town minutes. Probably take a little work to look them up in the teens, like around 2015, 2012 to 2015. Anyway, every year, I think in February, the town clerk would bring this list up. The council would approve it subject to the person with the encroachment providing some indemnification insurance. So that's just something I think you need to be aware of, you may encounter as you go forward.
Pete, a question for you, if you recall off that list. Are most of those items structures? Or what type of items do you recall?
Well, yeah, typically they were structures. There's a garage on a street right away. I think something to do with the old Roadkill Cafe. There was a list of them, and but typically, yes, they were structural in nature.
Okay, thank you. I don't think the people online can see this list. I did provide this list to the trustees to review, and I've got it showing up on the screen. But there are no structures on this list, just for clarification. It's mostly trailers, vehicles, maybe trees being planted on town property where they probably shouldn't have been, items like that. So probably not anything on this list that we've looked at that have indemnifications and something granted. But thank you for bringing it up. So for the board, do we want to send notifications letter within the next week? Do we want to give people a little bit of time to do the adult thing and take care of the stuff that's on the list? What do we want to do?
I would say go ahead and send out notice. Some people may not think they're aware.
Probably very true.
There's some people on the list that are not here. I think it hurts to not notice. I don't know what the date is. She said, hey, you need to take care of this by, but.
And this is a question for Hillary, is 14 days reasonable, Hillary?
I think it is, yeah. I mean, there might be certain factors that I don't think any of the things on the list would require more than 14 days.
From postmark.
And would you recommend these be certified return receipt letters?
Well, potentially, if you're sure that the vehicles are owned by the properties they're parked at, you could also put notice on the items.
Like stickers that the highway patrol or the police would put on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So do we want to invest in some stickers?
Yeah, the question.
Oh. Yeah, Levi, go ahead. And I'll let the board members mull on my question.
Just for clarification, like I park on the roadway on the side of the main street.
Right.
And then you've got quite a few people up there with vehicles that I'm assuming are licensed because they drive them all the time. You're gonna send them notifications that they can't park on the side of the road?
So the ones that are on this list if there are vehicles on this list and it says if it's a 15-foot roadway impeding traffic flow. If the issue is not resolved, yes, they would get a letter. Or they get notification. If it's, I'll use Main Street as an example, because the way I looked at it on Main Street, there's parking on Main Street. Or even State Street, and that's town right of way. If it's a licensed vehicle, current licensed registered vehicle, you have every right to park on the side of the road. If it's a trailer or a vehicle that's not tagged with a current tag, you have no right to park on that.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Isn't it, it's a safety issue of impeding traffic in the alleyways. Is that right?
Yes, the 15-foot roadways, all of them are lanes or alleys. The roadway is 15 foot and then it breaks in. Okay, Jim, I know it's getting late. You got a loose wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay, let me get on track, because I know it's getting late. So if that vehicle is parked on, let's say you're setback from a 15-foot wide roadway, lane or alley is 5 feet. So if you're parking your vehicle on that 5-foot section and your house is there, or you've put rocks there, or there's a fence there, that vehicle is sticking out in the road. And that's impeding traffic. Now, if you don't have a building there and you don't have rocks laid there and you've got your vehicle off that 15-foot roadway, completely off the roadway and it's not impeding it, it's got to be on your property. So it's when it's in the 5 foot and it's hanging into the property, impeding traffic flow, that is a safety issue. Fire equipment, emergency equipment may not be able to get through. If someone comes through and clips your vehicle, I'm afraid you might be at fault if their vehicle's hanging out in the road. Someday it might get tested. I don't know, but we'll hopefully not find out. But that's the way I looked at that. The number of phone calls, texts, people that have talked to me about this in the last 2 weeks is unreal. And a lot of times going and talking to your neighbor to potentially solve it. Go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I noticed my name's on the list. So I wanted to clarify that trailer is actually on my property. How I know that is I spent the $500 with the survey.
Not all of the trailer is on all of the property.
Well, I can take care of that.
The tongue is sticking out on town property.
Okay.
And just, if I'm gonna pick on one.
No, that's fine.
I'm gonna look for all.
No, that's fine.
I mean, I agree with it. It's an easy fix.
Yeah, it's an easy fix.
Yeah,
But-
let's do it.
I will.
So I'll go back to my question for the board. Do you want to look at stickers? A lot of this stuff we put stickers on. And I can find stickers that are difficult to get off. If I gotta run around and put stickers on people's property to get them to move it. I'm not gonna make it easy for them to pull the stickers off. I'm just saying, this is beyond ridiculous.
I don't think a lot of this was intentional at all. So I don't think when you notify them, they'll get it taken care of.
I hope.
I'm thinking anyone who notices tonight and wants to take care of it and lets the town know they're gonna take care of it, we don't need to notify them. But there are several in here that might appreciate or not appreciate being notified. But if anybody, isn't it true of anybody here that sees?
Anybody see?
And
You
like
got a
it
name
wants
or
to
a friend,
notify,
name on it?
they'll take care of it, great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the right thing to do.
And did you mention rocks that are beyond their 5 foot?
Rocks beyond the 5 foot setback, I think.
They can be 5 foot off the alley. So you mean within the 5 foot?
There's a road and there's a rocks.
And what I don't know is if the rocks are next to the road or if the rocks are sitting at the 5 foot setback. I don't know. I
Yes,
just.
he
It's lit.
Oh. I get it, real quick question. Could
Sure.
this be posted somewhere so people that are here can see it?
Well, I think it's prudent we send a letter. Which,
I'm honestly fine with doing notification first. Yeah,
notification letter.
Yeah, notification letter, you have X date. And then you potentially sticker it and then. Fine.
So we'll do maybe a 3 step. Send a letter, so you've got an issue, we need you to resolve it. Do we just put in the letter, we want to say 14 days? Or you want to send a letter, say there's an issue, you'd like for you to resolve it? And in the meantime, we'll get stickers, say 14 days, tell me what you can do.
I'm dragging first off.
I understand.
I'm kind of fine with anything really. I just sent notification and give people a chance to do the right thing. And hopefully just move on.
Okay.
And stickers are a moot point.
I agree.
And I didn't even go just say, just put June 30. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Hillary can tell us if we have to do a date and postmark. Or if we can just say by this date.
I didn't quite hear your question about the date.
I'm sorry. We have to give a specific date. Can we give a specific date or do we have to do say 14 days from the postmark date?
I think it's clearer to give a specific date for compliance. Because you don't necessarily know when it's gonna, I mean, you do know when it's postmarked, but it adds a level of confusion.
Yep.
So if there's a stated compliance deadline in the letter, that's probably the way to go.
I mean, June 30th seems pretty easy. That's 15 days. That's the end of the month. And that's about as easy as it gets.
And do you want these letters just to be sent regular mail or return receipt or?
I could hope that regular mail, people would,
I would vote right.
there might be some that will hide behind the fact that, oh, I didn't get it or whatever, but I would hope we can give them a chance to do the right thing.
Can I just say briefly, most of these people get their mail here, so I can verify whether they've picked it up or not. And I will, I pay attention.
I'd like to just see it. Send it. Somebody surely doesn't like boy is going, oh, I didn't get my letter.
Yeah.
So my next question then. There to draft the letter, or you want to come for the letter?
Or get your legal advice. Draft the letter.
Or Hillary, would you draft a letter?
I would be happy to draft a letter. Yep.
Thank you.
If you're going to the 30th.
Yeah. Yep, I know.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we need to get a letter out there, but most of these on here take about, I don't know, 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Not long.
No,
Okay. So we'll do a letter of notification to the owners with a date of June 30th to remove by Hillary will help draft that letter. Send it to me or to Stacy, or probably both, and then we can get them enveloped. All right,
Do we have to have a motion?
you want to do a motion on it?
Not necessarily unless we have to.
Probably won't have to. I'll make a motion that we send a letter of notification to the owners for the date of June 30th. By regular mail.
and then we did private property.
But
To remove
to remove the private property off of town property.
This is Gerald, second.
We got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay. Next. Next item is a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Pitkin, Colorado, acting in its capacity as the Town of Pitkin Board of Health, finding violation of the town's on-site waste treatment system regulations. Last year, at the end of September 15th, we had 4 property owners that were delinquent on their inspections for their on-site wastewater treatment. The board permitted, I guess, those 4 property owners an extension until June 1st to get their systems inspected. 2 of those owners did not get their systems inspected. 2 of them did. So that leads us to a resolution of 2 violators of the OWTS treatment regulation ordinance. And it leads us to the resolution, and I'm trying to get to it. That resolution, I'm not going to read all of the resolution. The title of it is Town of Pitkin Resolution Number 6, Series 2026. Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Pitkin, acting as capacity as the Town of Pitkin Board of Health, finding violations of the town's on-site wastewater treatment system regulations. And you can, there are all the different legal whereas. And then section 2, there are 2 individuals with their names and addresses listed. They are delinquent since June 1st of this year. To date is the 15th. It's $50 per day fine. And it continues after today until the issue is resolved. The state takes OWTS very serious, and they have impressed on me how serious it is. So the Town of Pitkin with this board will be serious about it. So, with that being said, any comments from the board?
Not really. Everybody in this room is required the same as people on that list. And I don't know that anybody in this list or in this room has ever been delinquent or has a problem with that, so. If it's fair for you guys and fair for me, then it should be fair for them as well. And I think there's been plenty of time to address this. And my attitude has been out of all of the ordinances, the last thing we want to be falling short on is OWTS. I think penalties or the possibility of state involvement is kind of looms near when we're not taking care of our end of the deal. So fair is fair.
I agree with what Corey said, but this is a health and safety issue. That's pretty bottom line in my thinking. So, yes.
All right. So with that being said, I'm going to entertain a motion.
Sorry, can you scroll up a bit? I don't know the resolution. I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 6, series 2026.
I have a quick question. How will this be enforced? Okay, I think it's a valid question. So when you ask how will it be enforced, if we pass this resolution, and as I was scrolling through it, if you saw at the end here, the fee to date, June 15th, is $750, and it continues after today, $50 per day. And the question at hand is how will this be enforced? So the town will, there is an appeal procedure process that can happen, so it'll be at least 30 or 45 days. The town will take this fee to the Gunnison County Assessor's Office, and it will be added to their tax fee. And just like a tax fee, if you're delinquent on it and you decide not to pay it, the county assessor's office can place a lien on the property and can force a sheriff's sale. That's how it will be enforced. So that's unfortunately, that's where we're at. So I have a motion and a second for the resolution of the Board of Trustees for finding violations of town on-site wastewater treatment system regulations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I will sign this after the meeting, Stacy, and we have invoices and letters that will need to be sent out tomorrow.
Perfect. No problem.
Just to add, not to beat a dead horse, but the sole purposes of this is to be fair to everybody. You know, if I'm required to get my septic inspected every 7 years or whatever, and I don't do it, I should be fine. I should just be able to thumb my nose about it. Just to be fair to everybody in this room, every property owner in town. And so, you know, it might sound harsh, there's gonna be probably some complaints, but if it's fair for person A, then it should be fair for person B, period.
And to add to that, our OWTS ordinance for the town of Pitkin states the inspections are to be done and submitted to the town of Pitkin by September 15th of the year that they're due. And they're due every 7 years. And we have already, I think Josh has already sent out letters back in February, I think.
Sir.
And the list of addresses was posted as well with the post office.
Yeah, thank you, Josh, by the way.
No problem.
We actually worked on getting the letters out earlier this year so people would have more time.
I think to Corey's point, it's better us for the town to control it versus allow the county to stay in.
Well,
That's why we're doing this.
Oh, yeah.
100%. All right, next item on the agenda is an OWTS variance request for 422 River Street. And the variance letter. And all the OWTS drawings and everything was sent to the board members. The variance is from Robert Benbow at 420 River Street. The variance for it is, maybe not everybody knows, but in Reg 43 in OWTS requires that from a well, your leach field must be 100 feet. So your leach field, and then from every surrounding well, you've got to be 100 feet away from it. This particular property has one neighboring well that is 97.5 feet away from the leach field. So they've asked for a variance. They also provided drawings. They're going to drill a well. It's a cabin now. They're going to put in a new house. They're going to drill a well and case it down where they get the 100 feet from the well. So they're variance because by law and by the Reg 43 in our ordinance, because they can't meet the 100 feet, they've got to ask for a variance at 97.5 feet. So that's what this variance is about. That's what this request is for.
And that's engineer.
That's engineered. Yes, and the actual variances comes from the Sarah Brooks who did the design and engineered by Carlos Brunstein. So, question from the board?
I think they've done their due diligence according to what I read.
Okay. But I looked through each one of the documents and it's very complete. I mean, I hate that we're required to give a variance for 2.5 feet. It is what it is. Questions from the public?
I would just say he did his due diligence. He did it right. I said it's just doing it. Somebody put a question. He got advice by an engineer and did it. Building and stuff.
Okay.
But didn't you say they're gonna re-drill deeper and case?
They're drilling a new well and it will be cased down deeper than.
So then they will be totally in compliance.
They'll be in compliance. I don't know, well, it's 96.2 feet. I just see that.
For the regulation, I think it's for the whole drill. It has to be 100 feet. And even though the bottom of the casing of the well will be the 100 feet, because he's less than 100, he had to fit this out.
From, yeah, surface area.
On the top of the road.
So rear, I mean, I'm just reading now. Too, so if they case it down 20 feet from the wellhead, that increased the distance to the soil treatment area to the existing well to 101.8.
And we've done that in practice. The hypotenuse of that triangle makes something feet.
So
So are we looking at this as the Board of Trustees or the Board of Health?
environmental Board of Health. So no more discussion or anything.
No, I don't, I was just saying, I really don't have anything, it's pretty comprehensive.
So, ready for motion? Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we grant the variance request for the OWTS. Request for 420/422 River Street.
I'll second the motion.
All right, well, motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we get two more. Next item is an item from Dick Schellenberg, a request to put a banner across the two flagpoles on Main Street. And bear with me, because I thought I had it open up, but I don't. Okay, so we're gonna pop it up here so you can see it. So across Main Street, the two flagpoles, it's a 10-foot wide or 10-foot long banner, like 20 inches tall. Looking at the regulations as far as banners across a road or a highway. And the standard is it's the bottom of the banner be a minimum 16 inches from the pavement. 16 feet. I I'm saying, well, we're gonna have a hard time getting under it. So, Jake, you might be able to tell us what the height of your flagpoles is. I don't remember. 30 feet, so it's only 20 inches. They're gonna be at the top of the flagpoles, come down 20 inches. We're well above the 16 feet. Then he also talked, I know when he talked to me about it, or told me about it, it would have a cable going between the two flagpoles, is that correct? And then on the sides of the flagpoles of the cable to put streamers along that as well. At the top of the cable on the sides of the God Bless America 250 Years of Freedom banner.
How long do you anticipate that banner being?
Are you gonna try to put it up this week, you think, or, okay?
How about we say it's down July 6th? Fourth is on Saturday, by Monday or Wednesday or whatever. I think it's a pretty cool idea.
It's patriotic and I don't feel anything negative about it. Especially with 250 years.
Today's the 15th, so yeah. With the wind we've been having, yeah.
Is that a cloth? I assume it's a canvas or cloth banner of some kind.
Okay. I'll open it to public comments if there are any.
I think it's a great idea. The whole country's gonna be supporting the 250 years. And for our little town to a presence as well, I think it's also.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. I agree with you.
I think you should keep it longer than 4 weeks. Yeah, I think you should keep it all the time.
I don't think it'll last. Not the wind we've been having with that long.
Feel terrible like
Yeah.
I'd like to see it do off to July myself.
It's up to the board. What do you?
I want to set a date.
I'd be okay as long as it's not tattered, since it's 250 years and it does note that. But I think it's patriotic as long, but we want to be, you know, keep it so it's not tattered.
That being said, do you have a date in mind, Corey?
6 is fine, the 10th is fine. 6 is fine, the 8th, 10th, we just don't leave it open ended.
I wouldn't mind it being at the month of July, as it's not tattered, as long as it's still very presentable. Since this is the 250 years of freedom, and it notes that.
Like, I get maybe do something a little different for 15 days.
Okay.
Let's get it. I'll take it down in the sense.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'll take it down.
So another discussion on, I'll make the motion that we approve the ban of request across the flagpole to Main Street. Okay,
I'll second it.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Oh, we're good, too long. Yeah, can I get done in 3 minutes? So the last item on the agenda is more of a reminder. We need, Stacy, we need to post for the town hall commissioner jobs. So the town hall commissioner position is open. I have a potential volunteer for that job. But that would also have us open up the Parks and Rec Commissioner job as well. So I'm gonna ask that we post both the town hall commissioner job and the Parks and Rec Commissioner job as well. And maybe in July 20th meeting, we can move that forward.
So put those in the post office, on the website, and then in the paper?
They don't have to go in the paper.
No paper,
Just
okay.
the website and the post office.
That's the post office spot.
What's that?
Inside the post office.
Inside on the bulletin board and stuff. All right. Then I do have a real brief mayor report. Now I gotta do this from memory. Oh, here it is. Real brief. First item. Because of the concern of wildfires and how dry it is and the dead trees in the area. I did meet a couple of weeks ago with the Gunnison Emergency Management Director, Lisa Bickford. Her Assistant Director, Ryan White. Our Sheriff, Adam Murdy, and the Fire Chief of Gunnison County Fire Department, Hugo. To discuss a workshop that we could hold in the town of Pitkin. That would be what we're looking at calling it just a wildfire preparedness workshop. And part of that is the county already has a number of apps that they have available that people can download or reverse 911 if you don't have one of these stupid things, a smartphone. Reverse 911, where if the county does send out a pre-evacuation plan or an evacuation plan, it would go through all the apps, so people would be able to see when that pre-evacuation or the evacuation would occur. in meeting with them, it was really interesting, some of the things that they brought up about when that ball gets rolling for a pre-evacuation or evacuation. Which, if you think about Pitkin, where we're at, and a call goes out that there's a fire, it's gonna ring our local fire department. They're gonna go to it first. They're gonna be tied up wherever that fire is. They're gonna be in communication with Gunnison County Fire Department, possibly the Sheriff's Department. But the evacuation or pre-evacuation doesn't go out until Gunnison County Fire Department or the Sheriff's Department comes out and has boots on the ground. It could easily be 30 minutes. So some of the things in the workshop we want to talk about as a community is, what do we do if we see a smoke plume off on one of the mountains? We might start doing our own evacuation of, hey, let's get some of the people out that need more time. Okay, and start having that plan a little bit spelled out. So they have the apps that they would like to talk about. The sheriff and Hugo agreed that they would like to be here to talk about things like why you might not want to go over Cumberland. Why you might want to go towards 1E or 76. Some of the things they just brought up to me were like, most people aren't going to think of that. So it's different things like that that they would just like to talk. Probably an hour and a half little workshop about what to do in case we should have a fire. There also the Colorado Forest Service at a workshop that the county held last month that I went to, Sheila and I went to. They did a little presentation on what to do around your house to prepare so you might not have a wildfire. And just some little things to do around your house or in the properties, maybe some of the trees in your yards you want to look at. Some of the things that they talked about in that 20-minute presentation made me stop and think about, wow, even in town around our house, there might be something you gotta do. Why do you have firewood stacked on your porch in the summer? When embers can blow in and start the firewood on fire and then your house starts on fire. Things like that we don't think about every day. Dry grass. So part of that will be, we're trying to get. Okay, Michael Mark now, I'm tired. Trying to have him come out and do the same presentation for the people in town and the people up in the properties. The two dates we're looking at right now, we're trying to get everybody coordinated, is June 29th or 30th. And it'll probably be in the evening, 6 or 6:30. Is what we're shooting for. So I think it's smart for us to think about what do we do should it happen. I hope like heck it never happens, but we ought to be prepared. The second thing I want to bring up in the mayor's report is just a reminder. I received a message from an individual in the last several days that they were bitten by a dog. Just remember, the town of Pitkin and Gunnison County does have a leash ordinance to have dogs on leashes. And in Colorado, I was not aware of this. In Colorado, though, if a dog is bites someone, is not on a leash, and they bite someone and they have to go to the emergency room, the police or the law enforcement will be contacted, and they are to contact them, the owner of that dog, to talk to them. So if you've got a dog and you're out walking your dog, you've got them, just remember we do have a leash ordinance. It's sometimes dogs get away from us, so don't know whose dog it was, don't want to know, just want to bring it forward. And then the last thing I had on my list was I just set about the town hall commission. That's all I have for the mayor report. And there are other reports available out online as well. So, all right. With that, it's 10:04. It's been an extremely long night. Thank all of you for sticking in there. I'll entertain a motion if we want to adjourn this meeting or if we want. Okay. All right, so we got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you everyone for hanging in there.